Hello all, I am Dipak Shethv, your anchor for the event. From wherever you are joining today for this event, a very good morning, good afternoon and good evening to everyone. Thank you very much for taking time today for attending this panel discussion. I welcome our eminent panel members who are going to enlighten us today with their experience and views. Today's session is being organized by INBAC Association and the topic of our discussion is opportunities for building automation in India. India has seen significant growth in the building automation market in this decade and has an important role to play in the global market in the coming years. Growing government initiatives, increasing construction market, rising demand for the next generation security and lighting control systems are some of the key factors that have resulted in the overall growth of the building automation market in India. Indian building automation industry is seeing a drastic change in the end user demand to move from solution focusing only on comfort and safety to energy optimized solutions. INBAC, Integrated Building Automation Community has taken birth precisely with an intention to drive a community of various stakeholders towards a common goal. The stakeholders are going to be one of you, the end consumers, the building owners, occupants, facility operators, government authorities, OEMs, consultants, ISV, and even the student community. INBAC, a non-profit organization, is working in the interest of user-centric building automation in India. Well, we have today with us the President and Board of Directors of INBAC, Mrs. Sakhi Chandrayan and Mr. Santosh Raktavan. I welcome both of you today for this session. Sakhi is an advocate of open standards and protocols and a social entrepreneur who has a strong product, business, and customer experience in the smart building space. Santosh is a visionary leader who brings in his experience, technology leadership, and global connects. He is currently leading Software System as a managing director. He is very much passionate about building awareness in the smart buildings and associated benefits to the various stakeholders. I welcome you both again in our today's session. All right. Before we start with our session, I would like to quickly brief you about how the session will be throughout. We'll have a brief introduction about INBAC by Sakhi, followed by a panel discussion where we have our esteemed industry expert with us today who are going to share their experiences and thoughts on the present state of building automation industry in India and what are the various exciting opportunities lying ahead for us in the coming years. Followed by, in the end, question and answer session, where I request every one of you to post your queries in the Q&A tab. All right, everyone, let's get started now with our today's session. I will request Sakhi now to take on from here on and tell us about INBAC, the mission and vision about INBAC. Over to you, Sakhi.
Thank you, Dipti. Namaste. A warm welcome to all the eminent panelists, the dignitaries, and one and all in the audience. I am Sakhi Chandrayan, and I am so glad to talk to you all today. INBAC started as a teeny tiny thought a few years back. It was October 2018 when I first expressed my thoughts to Mr. Andy Macmillan. He said open is good. He said it is critical to the customer, and whatever is the critical need of the customer is very, very beneficial to the entire value chain. We are with you. And it all started. Since then, INBAC thought has been encouraged and promoted by many of you who are present here today for this panel discussion. And for those who are yet connecting or first time connecting to this forum, let me assure you, INBAC platform is equally yours. We have a lot of work to do together. How can we build and innovate world-class products? How can we leverage the global standardization and latest technology trends? How can we deal with crucial topics like cyber security? How can we create smart services in the building automation industry? How can we make in India? I take this opportunity to welcome you all to an absolutely rewarding journey of collaboration and interdependence. Look around you. We are not alone. We have a vibrant global community to support us. Today's panel discussion marks quite a beginning for all these topics and many more to come. To take the panel discussion ahead, let me welcome our moderator of today, Mr. Swapnil Kulkarni.
Thank you, Sakhi. I'm glad to be a part of this event. A very warm welcome to all the participants who have joined us from all across the world. Would like to welcome our eminent panel members. Before we start with the introductions, let me give a little background about the topic for today and what we would like to hear from the panelists. So if you look at the building industry today, it has witnessed tremendous amount of evolution. It started with the invention of thermostat, but today we are talking about the very new age concepts like carrying building in your pocket. So also with the advent of new technologies like cloud, machine learning, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, and I would not say Internet of Things, I would call it as building Internet of Things because BIoT was a term that was coined a couple of years ago. So with all these new technologies, it is certainly taking the foundation of the, it's resulting in the rise of smart buildings globally. And in my view, India is no exception to it. So many of us here today who have joined this discussion, we have several questions in the mind, like what are the opportunities for building automation in the Indian context? So what are the challenges? What are the regulatory requirements, standardizations? There are many solution providers. So what technologies and innovations are happening in this space? So all we would like to hear from the panelists today. So also definitely like I see such a high number of participants today. So this is definitely a sign of growing interest of the world in Indian building automation market. So it's my personal honor to introduce you to the panelists who have diverse background, and each of them have exhibited exemplary leadership within the building automation industry. So to start with, I would like to welcome Vishwanathan. So welcome Vishwanathan. So a little bit of background about Vishwanathan. So Vishwanathan is currently a Senior Director, Engineering Services and Sustainability at Capgemini. He is responsible for digitization, energy optimization, and green initiatives while managing the real estate space for Capgemini. So I would like to say that he's a person who actually looks at both sides of the coin, the investments and the ROI. So from my interactions I had a couple of interactions with Vishwanathan till date, and from my experience, I can clearly say that he's a person who actually knows how to leverage the power of data to achieve the goals of sustainability. So I would like to welcome Vishwanathan, and over to you, Vishwanathan. So can you talk something about the topic today?
Thank you, Swapnil. Thank you, Swaki. It's a pleasure being in this session to share my experience as a user. And Capgemini is committed to sustainability, and we want to be carbon neutral by 2025 and net zero by 2030. And to achieve the goal, building automation is a very key aspect of this. While we turn into renewables, controlling the building energy, preventing the leakage is a very key aspect. So I'm looking forward to the session to share my thoughts and also hear from other panelists.
Yeah, so definitely welcome Vishwanathan, and we have several questions for you. So we also look forward to hearing more from you. Next on our panel we have today is Andy Macmillan. So Andy Macmillan is President and Managing Director of BACnet International. Just a little bit of background on Andy. So Andy, in his career, he has served as the President of Philips Teletrol, a Philips lighting company. He has held several leadership positions in multiple industry associations. So Andy is based out of US, and I'm glad that he could join us from the United States. And Andy's views and opinions would definitely help us understand the growth story of the Western world and the learnings. So welcome Andy on this talk, and over to you, Andy. So could you please share something about the topic for today?
Thank you, Swapnil. It's really exciting actually to be here talking about the building automation in India, especially with the emergence of INBAC to promote open global standards as the basis for building and growing that industry. As you mentioned, I've been involved in building automation for 15 years, and for 15 years before that, I was involved in industrial automation, both of which have gone through this evolution to open standards for automation. And in both, I led automation supplier companies. And I aligned them to open standards because standards make the market bigger and satisfy customers better. And that's what I'd like to talk about and hear about more today in the context of India.
Yeah, so definitely, Andy, would like to hear from you more about the evolution aspect and about the standardizations also. So we'll come back to Andy in a while. Next gentleman on our panel today is Bhupesh Arora. So Bhupesh is Director of Digital Energy at Schneider Electric. He's actually leading an initiative to turn buildings into holistic digital experience for the occupants. So we'll definitely learn more about from Bhupesh. His experience today spans across building automation and integrating buildings with the renewable energy. So Bhupesh today represents on this panel the digital solution providers. So Bhupesh, the kind of Bhupesh Insights is actually the representation of the digital solution providers in India and how the solution providers are gearing up for Digital India. So welcome Bhupesh on this talk, and over to you, Bhupesh.
Thanks, Swapnil, and thanks, Sakhi, for this interesting discussion. And I think I'm very happy to be part of this discussion along with other panelists. And building automation happens to be a very interesting piece of topic and discussion for the evolution, what is happening around us nowadays. And I think we, being a OEM and a solution provider in this field, are also playing a very vital role to meet the needs which are getting evolved, continuously upgraded in line with the needs which are coming from the market, and some needs are even driven from the situations. I think in the kind of situations we keep on evolving every year. I think there are a lot of other things which are scheduled needs and unscheduled needs also, and I think building automation plays a very vital role in meeting all those kind of things which are happening around us. And happy to be part of this discussion today. Thanks for being here.
Yeah. So certainly, Bhupesh, we would also like to understand about the technology trends and innovations happening in this space. So I'll come back to you with more questions around the same. So next on our panel today is Vinayak Sane, who is expert in fire and risk assessment. So Vinayak is co-owner of Abhyanta Consulting, and he's also the principal consultant at Elmark Engineers. Just a little background on Vinayak. He has been in a role of a design consultant for several key infrastructure projects in India that ranges from stadiums, SEZs, data centers, and many more. So we would like to understand from Vinayak about the building automation scenario in the Indian context. And welcome Vinayak on this talk, and Vinayak, 2 words from your side.
Namaste to all, and I thank Sakhi and Santosh to bring me on the table for this discussion. Yes, I've been spent about 20 years in the Indian community for designing of BMS systems. I have seen the evolution. First few years was basic generic, but the last 15 years has been a growth, especially the 6 years down the line has been exponential growth in the BMS industry. So I feel I'm a key link between the OEMs and the users to see that the OEMs gives the best and the users get the best. So it's a win-win to all of them. In short, I don't know where I would lie in few years, on a thin line, I'm sure, but I'll see that the industry progresses a lot, and I'm happy to be a part of this program and share my experiences.
Yeah, so nice to have you on this talk today, Vinayak, and definitely we'll catch on that the link that you have and your experience about managing the expectations. So we'll come back to Vinayak in a while. So
Sure.
So with this, I guess we can start with our discussion and start interacting more with the panelists today. So my first question goes to Andy here. So Andy, if you look at it, the digital revolution, it started in Europe and Americas, but it's now spreading more into the Asia. So with smart building at its core, there are many huge investments happening in the smart building space. So you mentioned that you have already witnessed evolution of industrial automation. So when you have witnessed evolutions in Industry 4.0 and now BIoT. So we would like to understand from you how the evolution creates opportunities. So can you throw some light on that aspect of evolution?
Sure, I'd be happy to. In both industries, digital revolution starts with innovation, right? People do new things, creative, valuable new things, and that leads to having to build their own solutions. So each company winds up with their own as they're evolving and innovating, and that's a good thing. That's what creates progress. But after a while, the value of connecting those things becomes larger, and the fact they're all created separately and independently on different platforms makes connection very hard. So in both industries, standard open systems have evolved to allow the user to get more value out of those systems by being able to connect them from different manufacturers and across different parts of the solution space. That also turns out to be really valuable to manufacturers because they no longer had to spend time and money on redeveloping or reinventing the pieces that already existed. They could focus their time and energy and development money on the parts of the solution that actually add value to the customer, the end user functionality that's useful. The other thing that's happened extensively in both is the use of open standards has expanded the opportunity for small companies. And the reason is that in a large-scale system like a building automation solution, it's a big deal to put a whole system in. And a small company can't necessarily do the whole system, but if they can do a small piece really, really well, and it's a standards-based platform, their small piece can be moved into the full system without all the expensive separate integrations. So the standards world expands the solution space and the benefits to customers, the opportunities for suppliers to differentiate on real value added, and also creates more opportunities for small and mid-sized companies. All of that is valuable, and India actually has a particular advantage over North America and Europe because they're starting at a different point in time. So there's no need in India to wait for standards to evolve from the beginning because there are global standards for building automation now. BACnet's been working for 30 years in this space now and has a robust infrastructure and ecosystem of suppliers and solutions. And things like that allow India to jump ahead and rapidly adopt standards and get those benefits.
Yeah, so that's definitely a positive outlook coming from Andy about the Indian markets, and you also touched upon the standardization aspect. So we'll discuss about the standardization aspect in a while in a more detail. But glad to know that the starting point for India is we are not starting from ground zero, and already there is something that we can leverage upon. So I would like to talk to Bhupesh and understand his views. So Bhupesh, you being representing the digital solutions that are taking place in the building automation segment. So what are the global trends in the building automation market, and what are the opportunities in the Indian context? You would like to understand from your point of view.
Sure, Swapnil. Apart from, I think, as Andy just now mentioned about the open protocols, I think that open protocols is helping expand the spectrum of the overall needs which are getting evolved in this market. If we see some of the global trends, the building automation market has been expanding very rapidly at the rate of 10% CAGR, and the projected business from this market by 2024 is going to be $121 billion US. From Indian context, I think this is growing at a much faster pace. I think India started a little late, but the evolution in the market has been pretty rapid. And what we can see from various reports is that we have a CAGR figure of around 28% in Indian context. From Indian context, I think there are multiple reasons. I think a lot of population is moving to these cities. That's been from tier 2 cities to tier 1 cities, or from tier 3 cities to tier 2 cities, which is actually driving a lot of need for the better buildings and the better infrastructures. And these buildings could be much more smarter buildings from the office perspective, or the buildings which is going to fulfill some of the infrastructure needs for those cities, leading from airports to healthcare needs, building more hospitals, and some cities are even evolving from the tourism perspective and driving a lot of hospitality business. So when you see all these kinds of development which are happening, I think they are eventually evolving to accommodate a lot more people what they used to go to these kind of places or these kind of buildings. So I think all these are driving very rapidly the need of the construction driven from buildings and infrastructure, leading to the need of much more automated systems, which eventually is going to handle these people seamlessly. Now, some more trends what we could see when we talk of certain specific, which is there. Healthcare industry, when we talk, there is a study which says by 2050 the population above the age of 60 will almost double, and I think that will require an urgent need to relook into the healthcare infrastructure. So the same set of infrastructure is not going to handle the kind of people which are going to visit for the healthcare needs. So we need more automation, we need more artificial intelligence going forward and driving the data into a meaningful insights. Same is the case for data centers. We all today, I think, have stuck into a situation, or it's good or bad, we can't comment at this stage, but I think we are consuming more data and we are becoming more and more digital since last 6 months. So the need for data, which has been driving rapidly the need of data storage and evolution of more and more data centers. So with the evolution of all these kind of infrastructure, again, this is further driving the need of accelerated needs for these kind of building automation systems, which are going to manage these assets seamlessly to give the user experience more, be it our internet shopping, be it our OTT platforms, or our work from home environments, which is leading many of our IT companies to drive an environment which gives the people a seamless experience to work through these kind of environments. So I think there are many such evolutions by industry. If we go into every single industry, there are many such things which are coming up on this. So HVAC itself is evolving very rapidly. We do keep on traveling a lot. We have been seeing there are a lot of airlines which do now populate that the kind of air station they are doing in an aircraft has been now 2x, 5x or 10x to build the confidence. So this is same happening in the buildings environment also. So all these kind of evolution or enhancement of the HVAC system is also further driving the need of building automation or the BMS systems which is going to be there. So all these things cannot be done manually. So all in all, I think on the conventional load, we were growing at a very good pace, but I think the current situation or evolution will further accelerate the need of this market in this thing. One more important point is that I think the war of talent or the well-being of people plays a very vital role when it comes to people working in any kind of an environment, an office or any kind of a building environment. So we have seen these new millennials are willing to let go of few chips of their money if they get a very good office, which is very conducive, good environment driven from a good HVAC system or a CO2 system, which is primarily giving them those kind of insights that they are operating out of a healthy environment, which is there, and they do have the connectivity of every single operation of that building, whatever they are working in, that kind of thing. So all in all, I think we're in a very exciting time. While open protocol is one of a topic which is evolving very rapidly, but connectivity of all these various systems in these kind of infrastructure and building is going to drive this business and market to a much higher heights, which is there.
Yeah, so thanks, Bhupesh. The CAGR numbers that you mentioned are quite encouraging. The other things that I understood from you, like the necessities of the healthcare infrastructure, how the healthcare infrastructure is going to demand some different needs, demand something different from the building automation. So we have already seen that the pandemic has also created a lot of, it has forced us to create innovations in the building automation space. So similarly, also we can look for the other industries and what are the needs of the different sectors that will create innovations. So I would like to reach out to Vinayak. So I understand, Vinayak, you always been being a consultant, you always have been at the center stage of expectations, managing the expectations of various stakeholders. So we would like to understand, like, what is the changing scenario of Indian building automation market from consulting, from your point of view?
Thanks, Swapnil. I'll just give everybody a small background of how the BMS started in India. It was about 20 years back when the 25 years back when the ITS company started shifting to India. When it started shifting to India, they already had certain automation built up into their premises there. And when they came up here, they had their standards for how the building should be built written down in a format for everybody to follow. When it grew, it started adding on to the security systems, the access control, the fire alarm, the electrical monitoring as an integrated part, and people started calling it as an IBMS system. Over a period, it started saying that my building is a smart building. Now, when you say it is a smart building, how do you say it's a smart building? Is it moving with the ambient temperature? Is it moving with the air around the building? Is it controlling the lights? People are not aware of it, but they say it's a smart building. And the smartness has evolved towards today's scenario, but today's smartness, as Bhupesh and Andy were saying, are completely different. But the users are not still geared up and understand what this smartness actually means. I'll give you a funny example. When I go and meet people, they send a message to me that we want to develop a BMS system for my premises. I said, fine. I go there and ask them, what do you want in BMS system? We want access control and CCTV to monitor the people. But that is not BMS. BMS is monitoring your MEP services, which is giving you most of your savings. And BMS is driving the savings business for you. But then also, we know that BMS is BMS. BMS is access control CCTV, and we want to monitor that. HVAC plays 60% of your power consumption. 10% goes to lighting. So 70% is, if you monitor that, you get a huge saving out of it. Working around an HVAC principle of working it and working on the chiller pattern itself gives you about 4 to 5% of savings. But this has evolved when people have started talking and speaking about it. But the people who manage the BMS systems have not come up with the solutions and understand how does it actually save. So my take on this entire scenario is it is a collaborative effort from the users, the installers, the consultants like me have to bring up a standard whereby people can actually work on the system. There are too many things which are going to shake hand with a small controller and take inputs and give outputs to control the entire scenario. So there are funny ideas which are going on in the industry.
Yeah.
So that is something which, as a consultant, I have to be very cautious. All my consulting communities community has to be very straight, linear, and be a key line between the users and OEMs to bring a smartness around the entire concept, smartness along the industries.
Yeah.
In BMS, you can actually drive the X-rays back to the digital screens. Doctors don't have to move anywhere. They just check the patients and they're back to the rooms.
Yeah.
And people are aware that they would be happy with I do only Zoom calls and see my patients.
Yeah. So Vinayak, I understand that
this is changing. The entire thing
so
is changing.
The definition
of
smartness is changing. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So it has to be a collaborative effort by everybody to get into the system today.
Yeah. So definition of smartness is changing, and it will continue to change. What we wanted to hear from you was how is the changing scenario. So I would like to reach out to Vishwanathan to understand you have been very heavily involved in digitalization of buildings. So as an end user, what benefits you have experienced personally from automating the building? So if you can just share some more insights into the benefits part of automating buildings.
Thank you, Swapnil. So, of course, Vinayak, Bhupesh, and Andy spoke about a building management system. Vinayak spoke more about automating the building through BMS, which could give savings on HVAC, lighting, etc. But yes, we have moved ahead from a building management system. I will give 3 examples of what we have done over and above the building management system. One is on the critical room monitoring. We operate around 14 million square feet of office spaces in India, and all our 14 million square feet we remotely monitor our server rooms, data centers, network room, critical labs. All are digitally monitored in a centralized NOC, which means we do not spend the manpower to monitor this equipment. Or if you take an UPS or air conditioning equipment, which is going to provide cooling and power to this critical environment, we do not spend manpower on monitoring this equipment. These are all centralized in a NOC where we could get alerts, and we also could get digital logs on a daily basis. And if there is the parameter is going to increase or decrease than the set level, we are going to get alerts from the NOC, and which our team at the site will act. This has proved to be very useful, especially in this pandemic situation and during the lockdowns. When our offices are closed, we could remotely monitor this equipment because all are IoT enabled, and the NOC is working, and the entire 14 million square feet critical room environment we are able to operate, we are able to monitor, and 94% of our employees were seamlessly connected from home from day one of lockdown, and they are able to give their productivity. So this is a major advantage what we could see from automation. And the second example which I would like to give here is more than the building management system, what other panelists spoke here. The automation has gone way above the building management system. Like we could automate the complete electrical system. We could monitor the electrical panels through thermal sensors. We could monitor the transformers. We could monitor the complete switchgear of the electrical system remotely, which could give us very value-added services like what is the healthiness of that breaker, how many operations it has undertaken, and more specifically, it gives us data when we have to carry out the maintenance. Usually people, what they do is they just go ahead and do the maintenance based on the number of hours or the years which has passed by. We don't do that. We do a condition-based maintenance based on the data which has been given by this automation, which saves us money, which saves us effort, and which also increases our productivity. Whenever an electrical panel needs to be shut down, we have to shut down the business for a particular day in a year. We don't do that. We only do condition-based maintenance, and condition-based monitoring helps us to save effort, manpower, and cost. Yeah. The third example which I would like to give is analytics, building analytics, which is very, very key, which is way above the building management system. In a building management system, what happens is, suppose the employees are working, as Bhupesh said, the millennials want their healthiness to be maintained. They want a healthy CO2 levels. They want a healthy indoor air temperature. Of course, the building management system will provide. It will control the CO2. It will pump in the fresh air when it is required. It will maintain the temperature. But at what cost? Yeah. If an equipment is designed to give 23 degrees centigrade indoor air temperature, and it is designed to operate at a particular kilowatt IKW per TR, it is supposed to operate at particular load. It will still give 23 degrees centigrade through BMS system, but your power might have increased because the equipment is not well maintained. There might be a fouling in the condenser, there might be a fouling in the evaporator. Some of the equipment accessories might not be functioning in a way it is supposed to function. Ultimately, what happens? Your power is going to increase, but your output will be given. Your demand will be met, but the effort what you are giving in the equipment, which is going to go high. Instead of say it is supposed to operate at 0.7 IKW per TR, it will operate at 0.8, 0.9 or 1, where you are going to have energy leakage. When you are going to do the building analytics, it is going to throw data how the equipment is operating as per the designed parameter. If there is going to be variation in the parameter, it is going to tell you that you need to carry out this maintenance, you have to fix this to bring back the equipment to its designed operation limit. So that is what we have done, which helps us to prevent this energy leakage and save on cost. So these are the three automation which I would like to mention over and above the building management system, which really helped us in saving manpower, saving energy cost, and build a sustainable planet around us.
Yeah. So I guess like first step was connecting the unconnected. So the whole world saw like they got everything connected, and now it's the time to leverage on the power of data. So we now see that many companies, like you said that you are also doing a lot of analytics on the data. So we also see that there are many new companies, emerging companies, who are trying to get into the space of building analytics. And I guess the benefits that you mentioned, the building analytics will actually is going to take us to a new high once we start doing more and more of data analytics. So with this, I would like to go to Bhupesh. So we have been talking about like there are so many opportunities and the potential is quite high, but at the same time, when there is immense potential, I would like to understand if there are any obstacles currently, if you see in the market, that are slowing down the pace of growth. So, Bhupesh, can you just talk about some challenges, if you see any challenges with pursued with the growth of the building automation industry?
So I don't foresee some major challenges. I think it could be some momentary challenges to defer the investment decisions by many who already had some planned investments which were there. We just heard from Vishwanath also, and because I think why do we need so many people to manage so many systems when it can be managed remotely, or you can do condition-based maintenance. One step ahead, if you go from condition-based maintenance, is to have a predictive maintenance also. So all these kind of things, I think, is not only going to slow down. I think with the evolution of the situations, I think market will keep on demanding and further growing all these kind of needs. So what happens when we all go ahead and construct all these kind of assets? Many people do buy all these packages internally, independently, and then they start connecting all of them, which becomes a very cumbersome task, and then you need to maintain them independently. So designing and getting these systems right from the beginning in a seamless way in which they can talk to each other and throw the meaningful data, driving the energy efficiencies and the well-being which is required from these kind of assets eventually is going to drive the demand. So why it's still not an obstacle? Because I think if you'll see today's India's infrastructure, I think we have still 80-85% of buildings which are medium or small, which may not have all these kind of automation available. They all eventually will now find this as the need because of the situation and rapid increase of usage of these assets. The buildings which are even having these assets or the building automation systems, they are finding it difficult to have interoperability. So we see most of these softwares generally needs an upgrade or to move to the next version in 5th to 7th year. It used to be 10 years, but what we have been seeing as a trend, every 5th to 7th year, we need something new. The user interface of all these kind of softwares on which we do manage these smart buildings, I think they need some kind of an upgrade or addition of the functionalities which is there. So all these will further enhance the demand while there could be some momentarily slowdown on these kind of things. So all these efficiencies, if they are encompassed right in the beginning, maybe from the CO2 sustainability on the building by incorporating all these kind of renewable systems, whether it is on the building or sourced as a power from the power producers through wheeling, and efficiently deploying your electrical and digital systems which are managing your assets right from the building entrance, because many a times we are operating, I just take an example of a commercial building over here, that we use many a times a building which is built by a builder, not designed to a user, but user goes and starts designing it to its needs, what they have to do, and then these kind of challenges come. So I think right from that step, from the owner of that building to the user of that building, and then further boiling it down to employee, which is the ultimate user of that asset, whether it is an employee. We again go back to some more examples. Hotel, we always talk about the guest experience, and we are moving towards the complete digitization. Nobody wants to touch the keypad of the lift in today's scenario. Nobody wants to use those wireless cards nowadays because of reusability, and we are talking of mobile-based access systems, and there are plenty of other things which are evolving. And again, as I was talking in my beginning scope, where we were talking about the market evolution. So all these kind of things are actually driving. Maybe the greenfield projects may delay, but the brownfield evolution will be much higher now. So greenfield will be a momentary slowdown to me, but the need of automation in the existing buildings itself will be much higher than what it used to be in the newer buildings.
Okay. Yeah, so that's a good perspective that you have mentioned here. But at the same time, I would like to go to Andy and ask him, like, because he has witnessed the challenges in the Western world, so we want to capture the Western perspective. So when you saw the building automation market growing in the Western world, what in your what kind of challenges the industry went through before now it became a boom kind of a thing for the building automation market in the Western world?
I think maybe there are 4 that I'd like to mention really quickly, 2 of which India will face, 2 of which India doesn't have to because of the timing and the progress in the rest of the world. One was just the development of the core technologies. Those exist now. There are global standards for building automation at the data communication level, and India can adopt those and make use of them so they don't have to go through the development process. The second one was education of end users about the possibilities and the value. And those, I think, are the same in India as they are every place else. That users need to be educated, informed, inspired. So that all needs to happen in India, just like here. Globally, in the Western world, we needed to come up with a way to ensure products actually align with the standards, so interoperability actually happens. And so global product certification schemes were developed, and they exist. And if India adopts those, then that also doesn't have to be an obstacle at all for India, because those are out there, and the products, in fact, available in the market today are largely certified.
Yeah.
And probably the fourth one is it requires collaborative work. So we had to create organizations and relationships that allowed all the different stakeholders to communicate and work together on some platform, some organizational context that served all of their needs. And that's partly why I'm excited about INBAC, because that's the role that INBAC can play in India, and it's a necessary, important role. But it takes work. That's not automatic. That takes time. That takes support. That takes effort. So those were sort of the challenges I've seen elsewhere that I think some of which will apply in India.
Yeah, so definitely I think that the education part and the awareness part, making the user know about the benefits of building automation, I guess that's an important task. And the same thing that you have witnessed in the Western world, the same things you see that it will also happen in India. So I guess INBAC is well positioned to solve some of these challenges. I guess that was the idea behind setting up INBAC. Yeah, so I guess we have covered the perspective of like how it has been happening in the Western world. Bhupesh talked about the ground reality. So also we would like to understand from Vishwanathan about like the challenges when you see that humongous amount of data has been like coming up from the buildings and interpretation. So do you see like what kind of a challenges while maintaining the systems?
Yeah. Thanks for that question, Swapnil. It's a very, very important question, which I would like to share my experience. Data interpretation is very important. Here, yes, spotting the requirement on the data insights is very, very key. Here, what I would like to mention here is one should know what insights I need from that particular equipment to improve the operational efficiency, maintain the healthiness of the equipment, and plan the maintenance. These are the 3 key things. Today, if you see, when you connect an equipment and you automate it, it will throw numerous data where the user will not be able to navigate through the data and find out what he actually needs, where he needs to take an action. In my view, choose data insights if it's going to simplify your process, improve upon your routine, and if it is going to shed some of the mundane works what you are already doing, reduce dependency on manpower, if it's going to help reduce energy, prevent revenue leakage, all of this is going to be provided by the data. And one should ask for what he needs. If it's a customized requirement, it's not a common requirement that I can give it that this is the data required and you please go ahead and source this data. So one should customize the data as per his requirement, as the equipment or the building, what he needs to operate and what data is required to prevent energy leakage, prevent or it's going to save on manpower, and it's going to help him with the maintenance standards.
Yeah.
Basically, he should get a single one-pager at the end of the day or end of the week. What he should take corrective actions to improve the operational efficiency. What actions he should take to maintain the healthiness of the equipment.
Yeah.
The person cannot sit in his office, analyze the data, complete data, and he cannot arrive at the solution. It should be properly given to the person who is going to set up the building automation. He should be given the task of collating this data and give only the meaningful insights, which Bhupesh mentioned. I really like that word, meaningful insights. It should give, the data should give meaningful insights on what action the user should take. That's it.
Yeah.
And he should take that action and he should go ahead with this job. That's it. We cannot analyze the data and the facility personnel, the building personnel they do not have time to analyze the data and take corrective actions on their own.
Yeah. So a lot of intelligence has to be behind it. Yeah. Okay.
Intelligence has to be behind it, and there should be a separate team who's automating the equipment, automating the building automation. They should do the data, they should go into the data insights and provide meaningful analysis to the user on what action he or she should take. That's it.
Yeah.
So that has to be customized by the user. He should tell, this is what I want, and the manufacturer should provide that particular data for him to take action. And that's my view here, Swapnil.
Yeah. So thanks, Vishwanathan. I would like to talk, like we have been all discussing about the standardization and interoperability and standardization, the impact, the importance of standardization. So maybe I want to reach out to Vinayak and understand, like while he is designing the systems, what is the role of standardization and how it can solve some real problems. So Vinayak, can you throw some light on the standardization aspect of systems and the importance?
Yeah, thanks, Swapnil. I'll just go back to a small note that I have written down. Basically, the BMS started when ASHRAE started the standard 135, which had a lot of protocols to be connected to it, like BACnet, ARCnet, Ethernet, MSTP, LAN, and Modbus, and each had a different frequency to work on. And basically, though this was followed by every proprietary component that used to come in. But everybody followed the BACnet formula, BACnet standard 135 written by ASHRAE, because everybody followed ASHRAE. Everybody would like to have a dashboard in front of you. But when you talk about that, there are so many things have to be interconnected, interoperated to each other. And there has to be one common standard. This one common standard will run on TCP/IP. But even if you run it on TCP/IP, each of these 4 or 5 names that I took out has to be converted to IP at one end. So there has to be a controller which will absorb that into one end and give a TCP/IP out for a common dashboard to accept it and show it to the user that this is what is happening at so many miles away from where I'm sitting. It should be driven into the industry itself that this is needed.
Yeah.
So the need for open standards is not just open. Like BACnet is an open standard for communication, fine. But much more than that, what are the other standards that one would like to come up with? TCP/IP is one of them. But somebody said in between, I am saying BACnet on TCP/IP. But BACnet on TCP/IP never used to sit on the same, what you saw, like the exchange or the table that we used to create used to have a separate window on the PC. So the operator used to shift between 2 windows to see if my readings are correct. That was at one time.
Yeah.
So open standard is something which we have to drive throughout the world.
Yeah.
And I think Andy has been working with BACnet so many years. He would surely give us a logical way of looking at when you say open is something with handshakes with anything. I shake hand with something with you, I shake hand with Bhupesh, shake hand with Vishwanath, and we transfer the same feelings to each other.
Yeah.
So that would be the open standard. If I want to modulate with something I get, it's not open standard.
Yeah. So with this, I would like to understand, like from the Bhupesh point of view, because organization like yours, they are trying to integrate global to local strengths and capabilities. So how will the Indian market benefit from this global to local? So can you throw some light on that global to local aspect? Yeah.
For us, I think global to local or local to global, I think we coin it out in the same sense. I think being everything open nowadays, and I think we are in a virtual environment that what we manufacture out of India or from any other country has to be same what a user is using in India or in any other country. So we in Schneider, again, we very firmly believe to have offers what we create should be very open, secure, and scalable, because scalability is the next new thing which is going to happen. Because even if we create certain offers today which are not scalable, again, it is going to lead to a situation that a user may have to again further replace or add another system which may not again expand on the similar platform. So in the buildings market, we have this very strong portfolio of offers which is under the EcoStructure program, and we call it EcoStructure for Buildings, which is a 3-stacked program which starts from the products itself. Connected products again should be on the open protocol and should be able to communicate with any kind of a software layer which is there. And then the second layer is the on-premise software layer, which practically is operating various systems, be it an electrical system for that building, be it an automation system for that building. So there are different users with different usabilities in these kind of packages what they generally buy, be it an electrical package, automation package, security package, or an access package. So the EcoStructure layer, what we talk is interoperable again and communicable between all these stacks. And then the most important piece which Vishwanathan has been talking, again, the meaningful insights, and we also advocate that thing very strongly, the analytics layer which drives your building operation and services, how you manage your assets. So primarily, we see there are different people who view an asset from different views. So a CEO of a company may like only to see the efficiency of that building. He might not be very much keen to see the drill down of the kind of faults and those kind of things. While a facility manager will be more keen to see these kind of insights, what kind of faults and what kind of failures which were there, or what could be potential failures which can come across his buildings. And then again, the users inside the buildings will be more concerned about their well-being. So one single asset what we today create should be able to give the meaningful insights to all 3 different kind of users, and that is where our EcoStructure layer, what we have created from products to edge layer and then to analytics on cloud can deliver all these seamlessly in the way in a way a user want to see it. So we at Schneider again have been driving that kind of expandability, scalability, and the meaningful insight driven layers to our customers, and we continue to drive that something on that.
Yeah, so we wanted to get that perspective of like how the solution providers are actually taking the global standards to the new emerging markets. So I would also like to go to Andy and ask him about like with Andy, like India is seeing a rapid growth in the building automation segment. So what do you think of leveraging the global standards that already exist today? Can we leverage on those global standards and bring it to the emerging markets? So I wanted to capture your perspective on that.
Sure. I think, as Bhupesh has said, the companies that manufacture and service customers regionally or globally benefit greatly from having common standards across countries and regions, and that's why a global standards infrastructure exists. Right? ISO exists to create that infrastructure of standards, and if India relies on that infrastructure to select standards that are appropriate to building automation in India, then you get to leverage all that work, which means there is an ecosystem of products you can start implementing real systems right now. You don't have to wait. And more importantly, as Indian-based companies begin to manufacture products to those standards, they have an instant export market. So they can both use it domestically and move into export when that makes sense for them. So both of those are beneficial, and it's easy to do because the global infrastructure for standards is designed exactly to do that.
Yeah. So so definitely, I have one more other question here. Is like we are talking about the standards, open protocols, open standards, and the need of open standards and protocols. But as a stakeholder, I would like to again go back to Andy and ask him about like how do you see the role of INBAC in bringing together the various stakeholders associated with building automation? So, is there any need for all the stakeholders to come together in this? Like when we want to work together and for to promote the growth? Yeah.
Yes, I would say there's only a need for collaboration if you want to have success.
Yeah.
As a practical matter, in both industrial automation and in the building automation parts of the world I've been involved with, open solutions requires a place for the stakeholders to come together because they all have different but related interests.
Yeah.
Right? Manufacturers of products want to have bigger markets. Individual users don't care about bigger markets, but they want to have more solutions and more choice. So those are actually related opportunities because manufacturers can create that for them if they have bigger markets. So there really is a relationship, but there's need for discussion and collaboration to understand those common needs and the ability to serve those needs in a common way through standards. So the collaboration is critically important, and that needs to be broad collaboration, not just users and suppliers, but there's a need for the standards organizations to be involved because they have to create the right standards. They have to evolve the right standards.
Yeah.
And the same thing is true for government, right? Government has a role to play in driving industry and help shaping industry direction. So it too needs to be a stakeholder in that collaborative work.
Yeah.
Collaboration needs a champion in the industry.
Yeah.
And INBAC seems poised to serve as that champion for collaboration and open in the India building automation community. And for me, that would seem like its natural role and a really important one.
Yeah, so because you also have been on like various standards organizations and so you have been playing a key role. So it was very good to understand from you, like how the standard organizations, how they coordinate and collaborate with the various stakeholders and bring the opportunities. So I would also like to reach out to Bhupesh now, and would like to understand the importance of standardization, open protocols, and how it can like collaboration among all the stakeholders help in the growth. So Bhupesh, your perspective on that.
Okay, thanks, Swapnil. I think collaboration again will play a very vital role. And when we talk of collaboration for us starts from the user. Again, I think all our needs today, whatever we are discussing, whatever we are talking, the evolution of this market has a trigger coming from a user who wants to move to a situation where he is able to manage a building or an asset very seamlessly. So the user is driving all these kind of needs and rapidly evolving around those needs. From an OEM perspective or from a solution provider perspective, we are geared up to meet those demands which are driven through the users. There are many other value chain players which are there. I think we have Vinayak also over here representing a consultant community, as well as I think they drive a lot of prescriptions to the market. And then we do have sometimes contractor. I think all of them have to be part of the same value chain when they have to deliver all these kind of open interoperable solutions to the user needs. Manufacturer can manufacture, OEM can develop those offers, but eventually how it reaches a user is the most important thing. And I think all these stakeholders do play a very vital role that the needs of the user are met seamlessly, making the system more efficient for the future. That is the most important part.
Yeah, so you have been emphasizing on the user and the user needs. So why not go to Vishwanathan and ask him, like he being in the user. So how do you see the benefits from your perspective of INBAC when INBAC tries to bring all the stakeholders together? So what benefits you as a user will derive from every stakeholder coming together?
Yeah, see, INBAC has brought in all the various stakeholders into this forum. We have Andy representing BACnet, Bhupesh from the OEM, Vinayak from the consultant, and myself from the user. So here the community understands what is the user requirement and what are the challenges faced by the user. So every challenge provides us an opportunity.
Yeah.
So we should understand the challenges faced by the user and provide us a solution which can largely benefit the society, largely benefit the building users, and the building automation segment can grow leaps and bounds. And this pandemic, people have understood the need for building automation. So if their businesses have to thrive and the businesses have to continue, building automation will definitely lead the way. So people have understood that, and I am personally looking for a bright future for building automation. And this will not only help the users and the building community to seamlessly monitor or automate their equipment or the building infrastructure, but also pay a very big way in creating a sustainable planet, because this will also reduce the energy leakage and it will also reduce the cost involved in operating and maintaining the building.
Okay. Yeah, so actually, like this discussion is getting interesting, very much interesting, but at the same time we are also constrained by the time. So I personally had many questions. You have answered them, and you have increased my knowledge on the building automation aspect. So likewise, the participants, the audience here has also been benefited. So I've seen that many people have posted their questions on the Q&A tab. So I would like to take some questions from the audience, and it's not possible to get all the questions answered because we have a time constraint over here. So I'll just take a few questions, and definitely we are going to have this YouTube channel on this, and we are going to answer all the questions on that YouTube channel. Definitely we'll not close this session without addressing without taking some of the questions of the audience. So I will take some few questions. I see one question coming from Sanjit Rao. He is from Belimo. He's saying that how AI will revolutionize the building automation domain. So maybe Bhupesh, you have been working on the holistic experiences. So probably can you talk about the AI aspect of how it will revolutionize the building automation domain?
Yes, I think this is a very important topic for buildings of the future. We call it buildings for the future. I think today we may be in an environment where we are using many facilities of a building without any genuine need or genuine efficiency what we could have driven out of that system. So AI eventually is going to be embedded part of this ecosystem of the building, and through building automation, when all these various things what we use in a building are going to talk and share those insights, be it accessing your own people. We are now talking of thermal sensors, thermal cameras, new addition to the buildings which was not in the past from what is there. And then we are talking of social distancing in the new norms. It may remain for some time, may not be for forever, but I think all these data eventually is going to be creating a lot for anybody who is going to see that data. Unless we have that AI piece and IoT thing coming into all these kind of automation what we are going to drive, we will be ending up in tons and tons of pages of reports, which I think many people will not either be able to go through or take actionable actions on those kind of things. So Vishwanathan rightly mentioned in one of his talks also. So we need to know very specifically what kind of an action we need to do. We may have 10 different systems in a building, but what are those specific actions which are either driven by the set parameters, which are either driven by certain behaviors, which are either driven by certain OEM specifications, which eventually will get embedded into a software which will run an algorithm and tell you what exactly you need to know. Why you want to wait for a system to fail? Why the system can't be fail-proof? There is a possibility a system can become a fail-proof basis the number of operations of that equipment in a building. How do you analyze that? Because we may be using an equipment for 100,000 hours while it is designed for 90,000 hours. But these AI-driven systems will eventually alert you to replace that product before it actually brings down your entire system and building. So all these eventually are going to drive, I think, these kind of things, and it is going to evolve very rapidly, and it is going to change on a very fast pace. We as a company are investing very heavily on this software layer to study, analyze, and help our customers to attain their sustainability quotients apart from the meaningful insights for their buildings.
Yeah. So thanks, Bhupesh. So definitely would like to learn more on the AI aspect. We have one other question coming up here from it's from Prasad Sant. He's saying that globally there is a move by large corporations to ensure their facilities to be carbon neutral. So what are the steps taken by Indian corporates to achieve sustainability and carbon neutrality? So maybe Vishwanathan, you have been at the forefront of sustainability initiatives. So probably your views on this, like how the corporations are achieving sustainability and carbon neutrality.
Now this pandemic has taught us a very big lesson, and there's a general perception that next big thing after the pandemic will be climate change. So to prevent that, every organization is moving towards creating a sustainable environment around us. So either it is carbon neutral or net zero. So the buildings should have lowest energy demand, highest energy efficiency in its operation, and thereafter replace the remaining energy from the renewables. So, every organization is moving towards this, and automation will lead the way for all these initiatives. Either it is sustainable initiatives or it is net zero initiatives. Without automation, we cannot achieve carbon neutral or a net zero. We cannot consume the energy as much we want and then convert into renewables. What net zero specifies very clearly, the net zero guidelines, what it specifies is the building should be energy efficient. The building should be designed for energy efficiency, and 75% of the rating goes for energy efficiency, and the remaining 25% goes for converting the balance energy into renewable forms. So all this will be possible only through building automation, IoT, and having storage solutions, converting our vehicles into electric mobility. So these are the actions which is going to pave the way.
Yeah. So thanks, Vishwanathan. We have many more questions, but we just took 2 questions from the audience right now. Maybe like it's already the time to close the session. So probably like I will like to go to each and every one of you. And like in 2 words, if you can summarize with the closing comments. So I would like Andy, if you can speak on the closing comments here.
Sure. If I get only 2 words, they're going to be global standards. But I'm going to sneak in 2 sentences instead.
Yeah.
And with 2 sentences, I would take the first one to encourage the India industry to look at and adopt global standards and global collaboration. Right? The connection of INBAC, for example, to the SSPC, which continues to develop BACnet, is important, so that Indian needs get met in the standards that are global and not have to be created as separate standards in India. Because this is what's going to grow the opportunities for suppliers and the solutions for customers. And that really is the point. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes. Thanks, Andy. Over to you, Vinayak. Two words from your side as we close the session. Yeah.
What would I say? Global standards is one, but there are 2 things which I would say that INBAC should also look at. 2 things. One is the right people to manage the BMS system. And that is how one should get into and start a different thought process. That writing standards is one part, but have people to run the right BMS is another part. So I think Sakhi and Santosh should look at one part of it. Standards should happen because it's a collaborative effort right from OEMs, end users, consultants. Standards like BACnet would help. But there is something which is going to make this very efficient is have the right people work on it, understand what is building intelligence, give the right reports, and work on the systems. That's from me.
Yes, thanks, Vinayak. Over to you, Bhupesh.
For me, I think we whatever we have been talking is for buildings of the future, which needs to be, I think, safe, sustainable, and efficient. I think from my end, I think we all are working towards that kind of a direction, and building automation is the most important stepping stone for us to achieve the buildings of the future.
Yes, definitely, yeah, Bhupesh. Vishwanath, 2 words from your side.
Yeah, I saw a question from the audience asking what is the typical ROI for a building management system.
Okay.
So what I could say is on the automation side, we could read the return on investments anywhere between 1.5 to 2 years.
Yeah.
People, while you are automating the equipment, automating your building, one should also take care not to invest more on manpower. This is to reduce the manpower, and it will also bring in a lot of operational efficiency and energy saving. So definitely we have seen, in fact, certain investments where we have seen the ROI less than 1 year. So on the higher side, even if you do a very good automation, the ROI you will get it in 1.5 to 2 years. So I would encourage all the participants not only limit your automation to building management system, but also go into data insights, go into electrical systems, go into building analytics, go into critical room environment monitoring, reduce the manpower, and let us all work together to create a sustainable planet.
Yeah, so thanks, Vishwanathan. So as a moderator, I was also a listener to this panel discussion. So my take on this panel discussion is I understand that evolution creates immense opportunities, but to realize these opportunities, we will need to overcome the challenges, and the answer lies in standardization, open protocols, and the awareness. So Andy has talked about the awareness, more education and awareness. So this is not going to happen overnight, and all the stakeholders needs to come together. So the benefit, only then we can unleash the benefit from the potential of the explosive growth that lies in the Indian building automation market. So that is what I heard from all the panelists, and I wanted to summarize like what I personally understood from this after hearing to all of you. So thank you for today being on this discussion today, taking our time for panel discussion. And with this, I would like to hand over to Santosh to take it forward. So thank you all.
Thank you, Swapnil. INBAC, the future promise of building automation in India. INBAC is a new inspiration and a community to drive this techno-social movement within India. In real terms, INBAC has kick-started the journey towards fulfilling smart dreams of every Indian today. And the first ever virtual panel discussion on opportunities for building automation in India, which all of you have witnessed, is the first important milestone and many more to follow. I myself super excited while listening to all our eminent panelists. There was a clear message. There are huge opportunities in India, and yes, there are challenges too. That's where the role of INBAC is to help every member of INBAC and provide a power to overcome these challenges through the vibrant INBAC community. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Andy Macmillan, Bhupesh Arora, Vishwanathan R, and Vinayak Sane on behalf of INBAC for accepting our invitation for this panel discussion and sharing their valuable insights and their experiences. Thank you very much. So far, I have heard about IoT, Internet of Things, but after seeing this overwhelming responses by all the participants, more than 600 registrations and more than 200 actual participants is really unbelievable. I can say it is IOP, Internet of People. Yes, you all are the power of INBAC. Thank you all for making this event a great event. I would like to express my special thanks to BACnet International and the BACnet International team for for providing a great amount of support and guidance to carve out a way to success. Beyond this, I would like to thank all the INBAC team members for contributing to organize such a great event. I tell you, we have a great team. Yes, you can also become a part of this great team. We have launched our membership plan. It will be visible on the website. Please keep on visiting our website www.inbac.org to know more about INBAC and the membership benefits. The beauty of membership plan is it has a wide coverage of corporates and students. So excellent. I'm sure now everyone out here has already started dreaming the smart future. But I can tell you, smart is now. Come join us.
Thank you for your time. Have a nice day. To all the participants, yeah.
Thank you everyone for attending and for the excellent discussion that we had. Now hereby we officially close this session. Please meet us again. Thank you.